Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and I thank you so much for joining me here on Enlightened World Network. Before I launch into the subject matter of today's lesson in the workbook for students, I just want to thank all of you really quickly for all of your comments and all of your support, all the love that you've shown so far. And this is day number 11 of this live stream. So it's brand new. Thank you all for tuning in. And I hope that if this is something that you're enjoying here and finding some benefit in, that you will share this, and please share here on Facebook with your friends. One of the beautiful things about this reach, this global reach, is you never know who you're going to impact, and we're all showing up in our own unique way teaching, and we're all showing up extending as much love as we can right in the moment. Some moments are better than others, naturally, but you never know who you're going to reach. And we have the tools, we have the modern technology, we have live streams on multiple different channels like we've got going on right now. So please share this. This is really, really wonderful, and you may benefit someone that you don't even know by doing that. So definitely please go ahead and do that here. Share this live stream. We want as many people on here reaping the benefits of the extension of love as we possibly can. So thank you so much for doing that and for joining me today. All right. So where are we? Where are we here? Well, we're on lesson 4 of the workbook for students. This lesson, of course, as they all do, piggybacks on the previous lessons. So we've been looking at objects. We've been panning the room or the street or wherever we find ourselves, looking at objects and realizing, practicing, working on the idea that we really don't know what they're for or much about them really, truly at all. Now you might say, well, this window is a window. It's composed of all of the chemical properties that make glass, silicon, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, but what it really is it really all that? Looking deeper, we're looking deeper here. And that is what the workbook for students and the entire course is all about, is changing our minds, changing our perspective. And it's a process for us as students, as practitioners, as seekers, whatever you want to call yourself, to allow ourselves to get into a different mindset, to get into a different state of perception. That's the purpose of all these exercises. So you may find that some of them are very easy to do, or you may find that they're very difficult to do. You may find that you remember to do them very easily. Some of you may find the exact opposite, that it's very difficult to remember to do the exercises. So wherever you are, all that the course asks, all that the workbook asks of us is that we just do our best on a given day. Yeah, and that's something that really means a great deal to me, because some days are clearly better than others, aren't they? Here in the world, some moments are better than others. One minute we may feel alive and energetic and enthusiastic and on top of the world. And then the next minute, something happens and we're just crestfallen. We're on the floor. We feel sad. We feel disappointed, angry, perhaps. And it's a cascade of emotions. And it's worth, whatever this practice is like, whatever your spiritual practice is like, it's worth taking the time out so that we're not at the mercy of that emotional roller coaster. We all live in, our society is set up for us to be involved in that emotional roller coaster to identify with that emotional roller coaster and just stay in that loop forever and ever and ever and ever. And without exercises like these, without practices like meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like, without spirituality and the tools that it offers us, we would stay in that feedback loop, not knowing any differently. So let's examine some different ways of looking at things here. Lesson 4 says, these thoughts do not mean anything. They're like the things I see in this room or on this street or in this parking lot, if you're someplace else other than a room, wherever you are. These thoughts, in other words, my thoughts, the thoughts that I'm having right now, do not mean anything. They give them all the meaning that we give them the meaning that they have for us. And our thoughts are random and they're wild. So if you've ever sat down to meditate, even for 30 seconds, you'll know that our minds just go off. They're racing. They're thinking about tomorrow's lunch. We're thinking about what happened to us on September 27th, 1979 at 4:32 p.m., which we remember really well sometimes. It's weird. Sometimes we forget what we were doing 5 minutes ago, but we remember something that happened to us decades prior. The mind is very random. We're maybe thinking about what we're going to do this weekend, or we're thinking about yesterday, how we were out for a walk and the sunset was gorgeous. It doesn't matter if the thoughts are characterized as good or bad, beautiful, like a sunrise or a sunset, or ugly. Yeah, maybe you stepped in a pile of dog poop first thing in the morning and you remember that, right? Whatever it is, we have all of these thoughts. This could have happened a month ago and you're thinking about it right now. So we have thoughts and they come and they go. Well, where do they come from? Where do they go? And what do we really know about them? That this exercise gets us to work on that. And if you've ever sat for meditation or stood and attempted to meditate, you'll know that our minds just race. They race and they generate one thought after another. And in meditation, what we do is we just let them go. Contrary to what many people believe and feel about meditation, the goal of meditation is not to have zero thoughts. It's not to suppress them, which actually takes a lot more effort than just releasing them. It's all about release. And this is the theme of A Course in Miracles and spirituality in general. It's release. It's not denying the pain and the discomfort in our lives. It's releasing it. It's allowing it to be what it is and released. And we release it and we let it go rather than try to suppress it and keep it down. What happens if we do that? Well, it just bubbles up again and again and again until it sometimes finally explodes. Many of you may have examples of that in your lifetime, where something just wanted to keep coming up again and again and again until it finally bursts on you. Happens, right? It happens. So exercise 4 here in the workbook is here to train us to separate the meaningless from the meaningful. All right. What's meaningless? Well, honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, all of these thoughts that we're harboring about tomorrow's lunch, ultimately, what does that really mean? All the thoughts that we're thinking about what happened to us in 1979, if you were born in 1979, or wherever, whenever, if thinking about the past, is that really meaningful right now? What's meaningful, what's not? So what does it look like to actually practice and apply this idea? Well, the workbook suggests that we just do the same kind of practice as we've done the past 3 days. Just start with going within here. This is the main difference between the first 3 days of the workbook and today, is we're starting with our own thoughts. So what are we thinking about? Well, I'm thinking about right now the birds that are singing in the park across the street from me. Thinking about that, and I'm thinking about how we water the grass sometimes, and there are big puddles of mud out there. That's what I'm thinking about. You might be thinking about something else. So the way we practice lesson 4 is this thought about the grass in the park does not mean anything. It's like the things I see in this room. This thought that I'm having about the birds does not mean anything. It's like the things I see across the street in the park. So you see what we're doing? We're relating our thoughts, our inner world, with what we see that appears to be outside of us. And we just continue to practice in this way for no more than a minute. Nothing more than that is recommended. Why? Because our minds are wild and undisciplined. In Buddhism, there's a term that you may know that I love, monkey mind. It's really very much like that. The mind just flits back and forth, back and forth. And what does it all mean? It's a great question, right? The workbook for students is something that will help us separate what's meaningless from what's truly meaningful. And it's one thing to talk about what's really truly meaningful. It's another thing entirely to experience it. And that's what we're going for here, is the experience. So I welcome your questions and your comments here. I'm going to bring this stream up, and thank you all for sharing this live stream, by the way. All right. Yes, so reading some of the comments. Yeah, so Suzanne, thank you for commenting. It's a comment about the time, getting used to this starting at 11 o'clock Eastern time. It doesn't start at 11 o'clock Eastern time every day. What I would have everyone do is check the show guide here on the Facebook page. If you have not liked the Facebook page for Enlightened World Network, please do so. At the beginning, every day, Ruth posts a show guide, which is a list of the day's programming. This live stream, being less than a half an hour, kind of bounces around. I like to do it in the morning here in North America, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, which is Mountain Standard Time. I like to do it in the morning. It's better for me. So you'll notice that a lot of the times tend to be noon Eastern, 11 Eastern if you're on the East Coast. And to just check the show guide for all of those details. And hello, everyone that's watching here. Yes. And reading some of the comments. Yeah. So I love how Deidre writes, yes, I love how this course makes me cognizant of the lessons on a daily basis, sometimes night too. Yeah, thank you for that, man. I love it. I love it. That's the point, isn't it? It's the point, and it's the point of meditation as well. I like to consider A Course in Miracles and the workbook for students kind of like an ongoing meditation. If you're in seated meditation, thoughts just come and go, and the instruction is almost always just to let them be where they are. Just watch them without following them and getting caught up in an internal conversation about tomorrow's lunch, and without trying to suppress them, which takes way too much of our energy. I mean, it really does. If you've ever tried to stop thoughts from coming up, talk about inducing strain. Yeah, that's very, very difficult. It's almost impossible to do, really, when we think about it. So we just sit and relax and allow. This is all about allowing this different perspective. It's not something that's new to us. It's really who we are and have always been. And all spirituality is a process by which we awaken to that reality, that which we already are. It's the beautiful thing about it. We don't have to construct anything all over again from scratch, because this is who we really are. And the reminders from a course, from the workbook, are beautiful. Now, as we get moving here into the workbook, you'll notice that the practice periods every day look differently. Sometimes it calls for more than one practice period a day, sometimes doing things on the half hour as often as you remember them. So there are constant reminders. And really, for us, it's about our willingness to take the time out and slow ourselves, slow that mental train down just enough to be here right now. And something that I love to say as a meditation instructor, I've taught meditation, and it's very simple, really doesn't make it easy, but it's simple because a basic and a successful meditation can be as short as one single breath. Just one. If you are fully present, inhale and exhale while just paying attention to that simple breath. That's the successful meditation. People like to say, well, I can't meditate. My mind goes too fast. Okay, well, so your mind goes fast. Join the club. All of our minds go fast. Mine, I promise, is racing, and I've been meditating almost all my life. Some people appear very calm. It doesn't mean that their minds are not racing at the same speed and that their minds are not generating one random, seemingly unrelated and meaningless thought after another in a steady stream. Meditation and practicing workbook exercises, the same thing. They take us out of that thought stream and place right here, right now, which is all we really have. And that's really where the action is. It's where change and transformation occur. And in fact, it's not really change or transformation. It's more of allowing our true nature to reveal itself. These exercises help us to peel away layers. All right. So I hope that everybody is finding the workbook exercises interesting. You may be finding them fun, which is not required, of course. It's not required that you find this a joy. But if it is, I think that's really wonderful, because in my experience, these exercises and the effort to do them every day have produced a lot of joy in my lifetime. They have relieved me of lots of psychological burdens that I had been carrying around my whole life. And it's, yes, most definitely a process. Yes, it's most definitely worth it. So if I haven't seen your comments here on the live stream, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sharing this live stream. And really, it's my pleasure and my honor to be joining you here on Enlightened World Network. And a huge thank you to EWN and Dr. Ruth Anderson for providing this platform for all of us. And if you know of people that are interested in A Course in Miracles that may wish to experience this live stream, free to share that with them. And I will look through the comments afterwards here and respond to as many of them as I possibly can. So if you have questions, I have answers. Might not be the answer that you're looking for. I do have answers. I invite questions because this is a self-study course. It should generate questions, as many as answers. And I'll just share with you from my experience in the comment thread, as well as here every day on the live stream. So tomorrow's live stream, if people were asking questions about the timing, is going to be noon Eastern tomorrow. And I usually start at about 5 minutes past the hour. I'll give you a little bit of time there. So 12:05 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, right here on Enlightened World Network. All right, this has been A Course in Miracles 365. And again, I thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest.